Yeah, hi everyone, Jason here, Robot Lawnmowers Australia. Today I'm going to do a quick unboxing video of the Mammotion Luba. This is a 5,000 square meter model that I've got here, and this has been shipped out of the latest of the Kickstarter units that were actually distributed from Mammotion. So it should be very close, if not identical, but it should be very close to the models that we actually do receive here for sale in Australia once the shipment comes in. So I'll just start with just a really quick introduction to Mammotion. So Mammotion started a robotics division a couple of years back. I think they're about 2 or 3 years into development now, to basically to develop an all-wheel drive robotic lawnmower that doesn't require any boundary wires. And they're also one of the first to release their machine into the world and have them available for people to buy around the world. We'll have them here in Australia later this year. We're not sure exactly when, but sort of it's be in the third quarter of 2023 that we'll actually receive them here in Australia for distribution. And we've been testing these units here for some time as well. So we'll get some full testing done. We'll get some more reviews done so you can see the pros and cons of the machines with other videos. But this video is really just going to be about unboxing it, showing you what you get in the box. And like I said, this is one of the latest Kickstarter versions that's been distributed. It should be very close to identical to the ones we receive in Australia. So let's open it up and see what it looks like. Okay, so in the top of the box there is basically it's a turning mat. So this mat is actually being provided with the models to be placed in front of the base station. Once you put it in the base station, because the robot, when it comes back to the base station, it does a tank turn and actually turns and reverses back into the base station, which can actually leave a circle on your lawn. I believe this will all be sort of corrected with firmware updates in the future, so I don't think this mat will be a permanent fixture, and it may or may not actually come with the units once they're available in Australia. But at the moment they've offered this as a bit of a solution to stop it from actually cutting a circle in front of the base station every time it comes home and docks itself up. That's the mat. Okay, so after you take the mat out, top of the box there, they've got a quick start guide, which is really fantastic because you really do. There's not really too much to setting up the Luba, so basically everything's on there. Tells you everything that's inside the actual box. Gives you a quick start to how to connect the antenna and the antenna pole, and the power and the actual the power key that goes into the back of the robot. There's nothing on the back, so it's just a single page, which is quite easy, nice and easy to follow. Okay, the first bit here. So basically, I put the camera up nice and high so you can see inside the box here as I'm unboxing it. But you can see it really is all boxed really quite well. There's sort of almost, I can't really see anything that can actually move around during shipment, so it's very well packaged. A lot of foam, which that's a bit of a negative in my side of things. I'd much rather see them all packaged in recyclable materials, but it is very, very well packed. Okay. So top of the box here is an accessory kit. In the accessory kit is that's actually the stake for the RTK reference station antennas to go into the ground. Not sure if there's anything else. No, there's nothing else in there. In this little kit here, so it's just got Luba on the box. This is the first time I'm unboxing one myself, by the way, so it's all a bit new to me as well. Oh, that's actually that's a little free gift bottle opener or something, is it? So I'm not sure whether this will actually come with the Australian model can actually come through. Let's even get it open here. I'm really not sure what that is. Maybe it's just an ornament to sit on your desk, a paperweight. There's nothing on the box to say exactly what it is. Maybe anyone who's got the experience with these things can put a comment below to tell me what that actually is, but I assume it's just a little paperweight for a little Luba paperweight. There. Okay. Very, very small little tube here. This might be an antenna, I believe. Yep, it's a little antenna that I believe will go on the Luba. Oh no, it's the antenna for the RTK reference station, because there is an antenna on that. Okay, the next little spot there is I've got the racing stripes. This actually is an optional extra. I think that it's not worth much. This is a little Formula 1 racing stripe kit. The decals you can actually put on the robot. Now there's two keys. Okay, I didn't realise you got two. So there's two product keys there for the to actually activate the Luba. That's the little key that actually goes inside the back of the Luba to turn it on. You can also take it out so that no one can actually operate the robot. Okay, the RTK reference station, which is this guy. I believe these are actually a new design now. Let's see, I think this might be, I'm not sure if it's a different sensor or whatever is inside it, but there is changes from this compared to what it was originally. There's also a little USB-C hole at the bottom there, which I assume might be a firmware update port. I'm not really sure what. Again, if someone can tell me what the USB-C port is in the bottom there, where that's a separate power to power the unit. And then there's the antenna, obviously, that came before, so we can put the antenna onto the bottom of the RT key unit. Okay, like such. And there's a mounting kit here somewhere to actually mount on the back of that. We'll get to that. Okay, and there. And this will be the bumper, the front bumper that comes for the front of the Luba. Should just come out there nice and easy. Open. So that's just the front bumper. I don't seem to have had any issues with testing this at the moment. I'm a bit suspect of the actual connection points in the front there, but the actual bumper itself is very, very strong and solid, and the connection point to the robot is really, really super solid. So I'm actually quite impressed by how well they've done to actually produce a really strong bumper. I'm just not sure how well these connections are going to go over time with moisture and things getting in there. But we'll see. Okay, next one out of here is the two poles for mounting the Luba antenna. If you want to mount it locally, they just screw together like such. Oh, it's a bit loud. And that goes into the actual base station, so you can actually have the antenna locally to the base station. Okay, we'll get these little boxes out. So this long box here, I assume the extension. Oh no, this is okay. So this is the 10 meter extension kit and power supply for the RTK antenna. Now again, this is part of I think it's part of the gift in the Kickstarter campaign. So I don't believe this will actually come as standard with the unit when they're actually sold in Australia. It might, I just don't know exactly how it's going to go, but there's a separate power adapter and an extension lead for that power adapter so that you can mount the RTK antenna completely remote from the actual from the base station, which is a really, really good feature and something that's absolutely required, preferably on all of these RTK robots as they move forward. And there's 4 screws there as well that I believe are actually for putting the RTK antenna together. We'll see. Okay, onto this next box here. Another accessory kit B. There's the first. That's the either the power or the RTK. I think it might be the RTK antenna power coming from. So it can come from the base station straight to the RTK antenna. And this guy will be the extension lead for the power adapter, so that goes straight into the back of the base station, and then the power adapter off to the power supply, which is quite long. It looks like it's probably around 10 meters, I'd say. I haven't actually measured the ones with the Lubas yet. And I believe this is the last box here. For the weight of it, deals with the power supply. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of spare blades. Again, I think there were some extra blades supplied with some of these Kickstarter units, so I'm not sure exactly what you get with the unit when you buy this in Australia, but there's actually there's a pack of 24 pieces and 8 pieces. So remember, these guys do take 6 blades or 8 blades. They take 8 blades, don't they? They take 8 blades, so essentially there's 3 sets in that pack and 1 set in that pack. I'm not sure what you're actually going to get with the Australian models when they're available. Okay, the power supply with an Australian plug on it, which is great. It's got the RCM tick on the power supply as well, so it's all fully compliant. 7 amp hour or 7 amp 25.2 volt power supply for charging up the actual Luba itself. So 7 amp is really quite good for robot mowers. So these guys have got a 10 amp battery in them, so the 7 amp charger is going to charge it in should be just less than 2 hours. Okay, what else we got in here? Okay, these out of there. Okay, these little guys here. These little guys here, little flat discs, and these are actually little pegs, little stakes basically. And these are for putting down the mat. So we've got these little stakes here like this, and then they go through these holes like such, and they actually hold the mat down, the turning mat down into the ground. So again, I'm really not sure exactly what's going to happen with the turning mat as time moves on. I'm fairly sure that they'll end up fixing the issue with software updates, and I don't think the mat's going to be required. It may still come with all the kits later on. We just don't, unfortunately, know exactly what's going to come with the actual units once they're available in Australia. We'll should know more once the order's actually placed and on its way. Okay, and here looks like our fixing kits for everything else regarding the Luba. So we've got 2, 4, 6 ground screws for screwing down the base station to the ground. Don't be fooled by these little screws, they really do hold down quite well into most ground. We then have a couple of adapter plates that go over the base station for the antenna pole to go in. I think they're the covers that go over it if you don't use it. A couple of clips here for clipping the cable down the pole, so these clip over the pole. These clip over the pole. One set. They clip over the pole like that, and allows the cable to be pulled down beside the pole. Nice and neat, so the cable's not flopping around all over the place. And again, that's only if you're going to use the local pole to the base station. So there's 4 of those little clips. They're the pieces that go in the base station if you want to use the spike through the base station, or just the pole in the base station. There is 4 little ground pegs just for tidying up cable, I assume, behind the base station. And then there is the 4 bolts for the fixing plate of the RTK antenna, and then there's 3 Allen keys, which I'm not 100% sure what they're for. Obviously for these bolts here for a start. The small Allen key I think is for to replace the blades, and the large Allen key I don't quite know, but it's actually there. So it's a plastic Allen key. On the other two are metal. This is a plastic Allen key, and this will be for putting the ground screws in. So that's actually for turning and actually putting the ground screws into the ground. Okay, so they seem to have thought of just about everything. Now the only thing we haven't seen is the plastic backing of the RTK antenna yet. So they must be buried a bit deeper. A little bit more inside. You let me move to the side here. Oh no, that's it. No, that's just the Luba. Okay, we will have to see. So take this top section out. Okay, here it is here on the side. Okay, so down on the base there, this is the other half of the mounting plate for the RTK antenna. So this bolts over here under this guy, and then those 4 screws that were in there before, they screw through into there, and then it slides down over the pole, and you just do that clamp up to slide it up. Or if you are mounting it directly to a wall, you can just mount the whole thing directly to a wall and not use this bracket at all. In most cases, I think it's going to be mounted to some kind of pole, whether it's a local pole or whether it's a separate pole off the eaves of your house or something, or a hockey stick coming off the house. I think in majority cases it will be mounted on some kind of pole. Okay. that's that. Okay, now I'm not sure how I haven't planned this very well. I'm not sure how I'm going to get this out of here and then move the box. I might have to move the box first, I think, and then I'll lift the Luba onto the table. Okay, so this is the base station, it's in the bottom of the box, and Luba was sitting on top of that. So again, it was all packaged very, very well. There really is no issues about any damage to them whatsoever. You've got your RF window there where I think it's a actual infrared, I believe it is, signal that comes out of there, which provides the signal for the robot to dock itself and align itself perfectly onto the base station. So I'll just put that just down there for a second, and we'll get all this aligned in a second. The Luba. Okay, so plastic bag over it again. So really, again, it's everything is packaged really, really well. Okay, so here's Luba. So the only thing I've seen now is that there's a little description on the back there that wasn't on the previous model we tested. It says do not cover. So the RTK antenna in the robot is actually in that spot location there. So you can't put anything over the back of the robot, or it will interfere with its signal. Still has the same tyres. I believe these tyres are still the ones that are going to come on the Australian models. I have noted on the website, the Mammotion website, that the all-wheel drive 1,000 and 3,000 square metre models, which have got the omnidirectional wheels on the front, they have a different rear tyre. But I do believe in the 5,000 square metre model, I think these tyres will stay exactly as they are. Suspension in the front there, so if you're not so familiar with Luba, so the whole front end is articulated as well, which keeps it nice and level on the ground as it's travelling along. On top we've just got a simple stop button. The stop button does have a bit of a habit of getting a little bit stuck. It can get stuck into position. So once you get a bit of dirt and grime in there, you've got to make sure that stop button actually doesn't get stuck down. But it's quite good. Power button, the mow button, the home button, and a start button. So the operation of these guys is quite similar to things like the Works Landroid, basically where you basically tell it what you want it to do and then confirm it with the OK button. So essentially it's mow, then start, home, and then start, and it'll do what you need it to do. We'll just fit the little bumper to the front there. So this little bumper, it's got Mammotion written across the top of here so you can see which way up it goes. Two little push buttons on the side there that actually release it, and it's into the front. Press the buttons and we'll push it in. Like such. Has that gone all the way up? No, not yet, it hasn't. Might need 3 hands for this. Put it facing up. Press the button from underneath, it's much easier. Okay, there we go. So that gets it into there. Like I said, that bumper really is quite strong. You really shouldn't be picking it up by the bumper. If you do pick it up, you should be picking it up from the back or the front via the wheel sort of thing, and the wheel sides of things. Just quickly show you underneath the robot. I'll bring it across here for a bit away. So you've got dual disc on these guys, which is absolutely fantastic. The cutting power of these guys is probably just about second to none, I'd say. They really do power along really, really well. So you've got a really wide cut. All-wheel drive with all in-hub motors. So all these motors are individually powered, and like I said, they are articulated front. Really, really powerful machines. The blade guard that goes over the edge here, and obviously that's there to meet the TUV standards of the 8cm rule of being able to come in from the side. They do have a habit of filling up with grass, particularly if you're cutting wet grass. So the blade guards themselves can be a little bit troublesome. But not too bad as long as you're not cutting wet grass all the time. You should be fine. Originally they were noted that you could wash these underneath. They've now sort of advised that you really shouldn't wash them with a hose underneath. So the advice is that if you do get grass on these guys, that you use a brush or something and just brush it out, which is pretty much the same with all robotic lawnmowers. They're all very much the same. Okay. And so the bump sensor on the front of that bumper there, and it's also got a side bumper here and a side bumper here as well. So they've got extra bumpers there. And on the top, you've got your ultrasonic sensors as well. So you've got 4 ultrasonic sensors. They just see, just in front of the robot, probably 25 centimeters in front of the robot, which allows it to stop it from actually hitting obstacles. There's a few settings, and the firmware in these guys is really quite good. It's come a long way in the last year since they've started their Kickstarter campaign, so they really are quite good. Alright, I'll just lay all this out again. So the robot itself, the base station, over there a little bit, the base station. So if you weren't aware of it, also I'll just run that through very quickly as well. These guys, they reverse into the base station, so like I said before with the mat that's on there, that the robot travels up to about 1 metre in front of the base station. It then turns around like a tank turn, and then just slowly reverses itself up like such, and then just docks itself to these charge pins that are just in the side here. Okay, so and they really are incredibly good at docking. I've heard no issues about them docking whatsoever. You can occasionally get a bit of dirt around, you know, the pins on the charging container and the plates on the back of the robot. And then, so we'll give one more tutorial for you, and that is these keys. So the two keys that you get, they go into the back of the robot here, and that's how it gets power into the robot. And you've also got your USB slot there, and there is a SIM card slot that's actually blocked off, so I don't actually know exactly what's happening with that, and we might have to get these guys actually opened up to see if there actually is a 4G module in there. I know they aren't advertised to have 4G at this point in time, but I'm sort of hoping that maybe the hardware is actually in there, and that we'll get there at some point in time, but just don't know at this point in time. But there is a SIM card slot in the back there. I'm just not sure whether it's just a blank slot with nothing in it, or whether there's actually hardware behind it. So yeah, that's unboxing the Luba. I think the most important thing to take away from this is generally that this is a Kickstarter unit. It is one of the latest ones, so it should be very similar to what we're getting here in Australia, but I just don't know exactly on the accessories. I do believe that the extra power adapter may not come with the Australian. I think that will be an optional extra. I don't know on the quantity of blades that come with it, but everything else here should be right, and then obviously the stickers also won't be, they'll definitely be an optional extra, but they are very cheap. I think that's really it. So look, if you have questions about Luba or any other wireless mower on the market at the moment, by all means flick us an email. You can get us on email through sales@robotlawnmowers.com.au. You can check out our website, and there's plenty of videos. We'll take more and more videos as time goes on these guys at www.robotlawnmowers.com.au. And for short snippets and things that we take around the shop here daily and out in the field, you can check us out on Facebook. Just search for Robot Lawnmowers Australia on Facebook. Thanks for watching.